Welcome to Trinity Growth. My name is James, and here I discuss topics that'll help you grow mentally, physically, and spiritually. So if that sounds good to you, smash that like button and come grow with me. Today's episode being the first, I wanted to go deep and let you know what I feel is the greatest tool for our personal development, and for me, what was my greatest hindrance for personal development. And when I shifted that, my hindrance, the way I viewed it, my belief system, I began to grow exponentially. So I had a spiritual awakening 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. And I was at a point in my life where I was tired of who I was being. I was reactive. And even though on the outside I was accomplishing a lot of the things that I had set out to do, on the inside something was off. So I was searching for growth. Now, at that time I had started to meditate. Now, if you don't have a meditation practice, or you're not comfortable or haven't quite understood how to meditate, it is actually quite easy, and we'll discuss that in different episodes. Now, in this meditation, I had visualized Mother Earth's energy coming up through the soles of my feet and clearing out my chakras, my energy centers. And when that energy from Mother Earth got into my heart, I died. I experienced what's called an ego death. I merged with source energy. It was incredible. Time became an illusion. I saw a butterfly and cried because I was one with the butterfly. Now, I'm merged with God. Undoubtedly, that was God. Now, I know God can be a triggering word. It can bring up positive emotions. It can bring up negative ones. And people use other words to substitute God, like source energy or universe. But I'll use the word God because I'm going to talk about the Bible and Jesus. So let's just use the word God. Now, my idea of God up to that point was a bearded man in the clouds who was, you better fear him because he's jealous and angry. And if you don't follow the rules, do the rituals, and accept Jesus as your Savior, you will burn in hell for a very long time. Now, that belief system I had was one based out of fear. And when I had my spiritual awakening, I realized that fear was not in the vocabulary of God. God is love. That's the best word I can use to describe God. Now, anytime you try to really put into the words God, it's not truly God, because God is expansive. God cannot be put into a box. Anybody that I've spoken to that have had similar experiences, whether it's through plant medicine or through near-death experiences, they can't quite describe the beauty and bliss and expansive joy and love that was that experience. That was God to merge with source, to die of self. Ego, the definition of ego is false identification with form. We identify with this body we've been given. Easy to do. We're blinded by our senses. We think this is us. It's not. It's your body. Your body, not you. Just like it's your mind, it's not you. If you can observe it, it's not you. You are one with source. So when I realized this, I dumped out my cup of all the stuff that I had come to know as how to operate in this world, or who we were. I dumped it all out because I realized that I was programmed to believe things through society, through my parents, all of it. And I started to fill my cup back up with things that were in harmony with me, and I totally viewed the Bible and Jesus's teachings and sin in a completely different light. So before I go into the Bible and Jesus and sin, I want you to know that I feel the biggest tool for your personal development is self-love. When you love yourself, it is only natural to want to nourish your body, grow in mind, and grow in spiritual awareness. So that journey really kicks off when you can learn to love yourself. Now, people can have a hard time loving themselves because in society, we're told that we're not good enough unless we get a certain, makeup, or get rid of the gray hairs, or you got to drive a certain car. All these things that are external in order for us to be worthy of love from others. And even when we accomplish those things, there's always something else. There's always this void. Now, when you realize that you are one with source energy, there's no void. You're complete. I've had a good dear friend said he felt like there is a hole in him. And I let him know, no, brother, you are whole. You don't have a hole. You are whole. You are everything. The universe is within you. God is within you. So, touching self-love, yeah. For a lot of folks, it's a lot of different things. But for me, it was my Christian upbringing that had really hindered my self-love. Because, although I wasn't brought up in a house where I was preached to every night, I grew up in a town with the biggest business was churches. There was so many churches. And I went to all of them trying to figure out which one of my friends had it right. And eventually I ended up in a non-denominational church because I felt less judged there. However, I pretty much threw all of that away when I realized that there was no separation between God and I, and the capital I, not the capital self, not the small self, the ego, the false identification with this form self. However, when we're taught as children that that we're sinners and that we're not worthy of God's love, just because some chick ate an apple a long time ago, that's pretty destructive to our ability to love ourselves. It was for me. I know I was constantly judging myself because, God sees all thoughts. I was constantly judging myself that, when you realize you are one with source, of course God sees all thoughts, right? But I was tough on myself. I didn't feel worthy of all the blessings that I could be receiving in the world, or even that I had at that point, because at the end of the day, every day, if I had a thought that was negative, I was a sinner, and I had to go back to the drawing boards, go back to Jesus, go back to eating that flesh and drinking that blood. And it was this never-ending cycle. When I realized, when I had my awakening and I realized who I was, again, I took a good look at these things. I looked at the Bible with new eyes. Again, I was born again. I was no longer this James that I used to know. I was one with source, and I looked at the Bible through new eyes. And the Bible is full of wisdom. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's so full of wisdom. But also, we all know it's been chopped and screwed more than any rap album out there. It's been mutilated. Books have been taken out, verses have been taken out or altered, and then all these words that we're interpreting have been translated through languages that aren't even cohesive, that weren't meant to translate from one to the other. So we plugged in different words. And then what we have is just so many people taking the words that are in this book literal, as in fact, as this literally happened. And I've come to learn that the Bible is full of allegories, stories, to help us see things and grow and learn, not actual literal things. Now, the story of Jesus was a dude who was woke. He was awake. Not woke as in cancel culture woke. He was awake to the self-aware that he knew who he was. He was one with source energy. Now, all throughout history, the greatest thinkers have shared with us that knowing thyself, self-knowledge, is the most important thing, the most, and that nothing else is really worth our time until we know ourselves. Because truly, you do come to look at everything through a completely different light when you know who you are. Jesus was my homeboy. I got no qualms with Jesus. I got issues with people putting him on a pedestal and saying that he's their savior. Well, I had issues with that when I realized that he was doing nothing but kicking down church doors, spreading love, telling people that they're not separate from God. He was going around telling people that they are anything he can do, they can do, and that they are gods and goddesses just like him. They said blasphemer, and they tried to kill him. Eventually they did. He said, look, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, if you can't believe that anything I can do, you can do, if you can't believe that you're as beautiful as a being as I'm telling you, just do what I do and you'll come to know God. You know, because obviously the words weren't working. You know, he was way before his time, or he was right on time. Nonetheless, he told people, do as I do and you'll come to know God. And we've contorted that to, he is the only way to God. Just because he is the way, the truth, and the light does not mean he is the only way. There are many ways. All roads lead home. We will all come to know God. Guarantee it. We will all come to know what we are at the core. Guarantee it. The question is, are you going to wait until you're dying? Are you going to wait until you're dead? Or are you going to search until you find? So Jesus was awesome. Let's not get that twisted. However, he's not my savior. This idea of sin was the biggest hindrance to my self-love. Sin, I've become a lover of words. Words have all kinds of, they can be interpreted all kinds of ways. But the word sin, the root word, is very telling. The root word of sin is to miss the mark. That is it. It's an archery term. To miss the mark. If you miss your target, you've sinned. So Jesus was going around telling folks, you can accomplish anything. You can have and be and do anything that's in alignment with your highest desires. You can do that. And if you don't believe it, you're sinning. Or if you miss your mark, if you lose focus of your goal, you've sinned. But it's okay. Forgive yourself. Or you can't forgive yourself? Guess what? I forgive you. Does he feel any better yet? No. Forgive yourself. To miss the mark. I want you to know that if you don't have a mark, if you don't have an aim, you're not sinning. If you're a child who's just experiencing life and being present and observing and being a little student of the universe, you're not a sinner. You're an observer. You're a beautiful child. To tell children that they're sinners and that they're not worthy of love, of full love, until they do these rituals, I think is very destructive. If it was for me, and until I was 29, it affected me on a daily basis. So I went there, I discussed the Bible, Jesus, sin, and again, this is my experience. It's helped me grow, reframing these things through a different lens. And I hope that you can take something away from it to help you grow. If you found anything in this video insightful, please share it if you think that it could help someone else on their journey. Or, if it's triggered you or strengthened your beliefs, whatever it may be. I hope that you know that it's coming from a place of love. That my whole intent is, I feel that it is my dharma to share the things that have helped me evolve in love, and in the hopes that, that it can help you as well. So thanks for tuning in. You know, namaste and peace. Until next time.